Hello and welcome to the Jamie and Stephen Show. Let's talk movies, music, and magic. We're back once again, this time with Disney's 33rd, that's my age, and a bit less, animated feature, Pocahontas. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Stephen.
Hello, how did I do with my introduction?
Practically perfect in every way.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, I've been practicing.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's what I do day in, day out. Practice that. I got the title correct. I got everything correct.
Most people sing in the shower. You rehearse the title of your own podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, so Pocahontas, bit of a controversial one as well.
Mm,
Released on the 23rd of June, 1995, exactly 400 years after the real
yes.
Pocahontas' birth. It's an hour and 21 minutes, which is
That's
the
short.
perfect length, I think.
I don't know. It's about an hour and what do you say? An hour and 21. Hour and
Yeah.
21 minutes too long. No,
Oh,
I will say I do enjoy two of the songs. So it's what, an hour and 15 minutes too long.
oh, Stephen. God, you're giving it
Guess
away.
guess where this is going.
Oh, God. Okay. IMDb synopsis. An
Yep.
English soldier and the daughter of an Algonquin chief share a romance when English colonists invade 17th century Virginia. I do apologize if I did not say that word right. Algonquin.
I'm not 100% sure. I
Well,
must
that's
admit,
what it was on IMDb.
I tried to avoid anything that I can't pronounce.
What was your synopsis, Stephen?
Well, in a change to my normal synopsis, I thought I would go with an Indian princess who is torn between her father's wishes to destroy the enemy settlers and her wishes to help them. A girl caught between her father and people and her love for the enemy.
Oh, that was quite a good one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's not mine.
Oh, okay.
No, so I mean, this links into the production, but basically, Mike Gabriel pitched this idea.
Mm-hmm.
That was his pitch. I know normally I do a joke,
Yeah,
but
but you
I
liked his
thought
pitch.
I did, and I thought, you know what, actually, it just really sum it up.
It's got 6.7 stars on IMDb. I think it might be. Yep, the worst or the lowest score out of the Renaissance so far, even lower than Rescuers Down Under.
So, this is the only Renaissance film to have a rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow, that's a shame. Okay, directors.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned Mike Gabriel, who we know from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, and Eric Goldberg, the animator
Mm.
of The Genie.
Yes.
And writers, there's three credited on the film: Carl Bunder, Susanna Grant, and Philip Lazebnik. Lazebnik. So Bunder was a writer on Dr. Quinn,
Mm-hmm.
producer of Stargate, SGU, and Susanna Grant wrote Erin Brockovich. And Philip Lazebnik worked on Mulan, Prince of Egypt, and El Dorado. Glenn Keane, Joe Grant, Bernie Mattinson are also credited as names on the story. And Chris Buck, he is the co-director of Frozen and
Oh.
Frozen 2 with Jennifer Lee. So production,
Mm-hmm.
go. So this is pre-production.
This is pre-production, yeah.
Yeah.
So in 1990,
Mm-hmm.
so around this time, I may or may not have been born. But Mike Gabriel has just finished work on Rescuers Down Under, and it's released.
Yeah. And Katzenberg's gone. It was a flop. Move on.
Move on. Well, he teams up with Joe Grant,
Mm-hmm.
who avid listeners will know what my opinion of Joe Grant is.
Yeah.
And They both actually worked on a pitch for Swan Lake, and they worked on it for quite a while, and they put it forward, and the feedback they got was, and I quote, the most amateurish, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, amateurish, worthless, nothing. There is no movie here and no story.
Was that Katzenberg?
It just didn't say, but it was from the executives.
Okay.
Now, he's just had that rejected, and on Thanksgiving, over Thanksgiving weekend, November 1990, Gabriel basically was going through a lot of the Western stories. As he was going through these, he settled on Pocahontas and thought, oh, that would be a really good idea. What he did, because it was such a quick turnaround for him,
Mhm.
he literally had to present this. He got a cartoon of Tiger Lily from Peter Pan, stuck a few furry animals around her,
Uh-huh.
wrote in Disney writing Walt Disney Pictures Presents or Walt Disney Presents Pocahontas, and on the
Uh-huh.
back he wrote the pitch that was the synopsis I read earlier.
Mhm.
It just so happens at this time Peter Schneider is trying to develop a Romeo and Juliet story.
Okay.
It's the quickest approval of a pitch in Walt Disney Studios' history.
Oh my God.
What really annoys me about that, though, is you've got the heads of Disney not knowing who Tiger Lily was. Well, anyway, in 1992, development is kind of going on. They're doing pictures and everything, because at this point, John Candy is involved.
Yes.
So we knew John Candy from The Rescuers Down Under.
Uh-huh.
We know him from Splash, from Cool Runnings and Home Alone.
Yeah.
He was going to play a turkey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had any of those facts about. You did. You're nodding. You're like, they're my facts. I'm
No,
gonna
it's
get
fine.
ya. So basically, Katzenberg in 1992, after the award ceremonies that Beauty and the Beast was nominated for, despite the
Mhm.
fact that they didn't win them, he was basically like, no, love stories. We need to replicate this love story. So what he decided to do was look at the Pocahontas kind of work that was being done. It was in early production, and he said, "No, you need to get rid of the younger princessy type of Pocahontas. We want an older woman.
Uh-huh.
We want a more adult romance.
Uh-huh.
Um, get rid of the talking animals. I don't want any of those. This is going to be a film for adults."
Uh-huh.
I've written a load of quotes down because this will give you an idea of what was going wrong,
Okay.
basically. So Tom Sito, who was the head of story,
Mhm.
um, he went on record to say he wanted to include more jokes, but higher ups wanted it to be winsome and more gentle. Eric Goldberg, the co-director, he had finished, literally just finished Genie,
Mhm.
and everyone at this point was working on The Lion King,
Yeah.
and he was looking for his next kind of like work within the
Uh-huh.
company, and he was sent the pitch with Tiger Lily on the back.
Uh-huh.
He said he really liked it, and he agreed to do it, and he agreed to go on to direct or co-direct the film
Uh-huh.
based on that original pitch. He goes on record to say that he expected the film to be a lot more cartoonish and comedic, very much like Aladdin.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of comedy is what we should have been seeing in this film. You then had Peter Schneider, sorry, who said to Goldberg, actually, no, it's not going to be comedic like Aladdin. This is going to be the opposite. We want it to be more in the vein of Beauty and the Beast.
Mhm.
So you had two very creative people working on this with Goldberg and Gabriel,
Mm-hmm.
whose previous work has basically been quite fun characters, as told not to do funny. You've then got
Yeah.
the head of story told, we're not doing jokes, we're
Mm-hmm.
not doing this. There was a little bit of worry about obviously being sensitive to politically correct and things, and they were a bit worried that some of the jokes might be offensive,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good enough criticism. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
thinking that, but when you look at Aladdin,
Uh-huh.
very few of those jokes are pinpointed at a race or a community. Goldberg kind of didn't want to do it at this point.
Okay.
However, he does go on to say that at the time, the racial overtones of 1992 LA riots inspired him to commit to this film
Oh, right.
because
Okay.
he wanted it to be a message of people coming together. And
Okay.
it was Schneider that actually said that's what this film's about.
Okay.
It's about people coming together, and that was all happening. And I mean, obviously, this was done in California, so LA being down the road,
Yeah.
it it would have been quite close to home for him. So
You
that's
mean
why he,
Burbank?
Burbank.
Yeah.
No, the riots were in LA.
Yeah. But I mean, and like you're saying down the road, because
Oh,
California's the
yeah,
state.
yeah. Well, it's quite close. It's
But yeah,
nearby.
Burbank.
We're recording this at gone 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night. We cannot be geologically correct, okay? Um, Basically everyone, and I narrowed it down to two things. But basically everyone quoted that there was too much executive interference. So we are talking Katzenberg, we are talking the other kind of executives for
Oh,
Disney Film
Eisner.
and things. Yeah,
Yeah.
Goldberg, whilst he worked on Pocahontas, because he was so confined by it all and unhappy, he
Uh-huh.
actually did work for the Chuck Jones Productions under a fake name,
Oh my God.
whilst working as a co-director of Pocahontas.
Right. Okay.
Joe Grant did a drawing of Percy with an Indian feather sticking out of his, like a back of his collar, but it's sticking out of his head. That's how it was to look. And the animators decided, oh, we can take that one further, and they put a Spanish ruff on Miko.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind it was you had the kind of settlers wearing something that was embolic of Native Americans, so the
Mm-hmm.
feather, and then you had the Native American or the native animal, Miko, wearing the Spanish ruff. This
Uh-huh.
was the animals get it, so why don't we?
Yeah.
The executives basically tried to veto that,
Right.
and their reasoning behind it, bear in mind this is a cartoon film, a Disney film. The reason was animals don't have the intelligence to switch their clothes. They don't even have opposing thumbs.
That was the reason.
That was the reason. And basically, there was like arguments and toing and throwing and everything. And basically, the animators kind of got their way with the animals, but they were
Okay.
told that the animals should be mute, that they can't talk, that they have to mime. So when you see the film, those two characters are miming and like they're not, what they're doing is with hands and things rather than with voice or noises
Yeah,
or
you can see like what's being communicated through their body language
yeah.
rather than using a voice.
And Joe Grant actually criticized this because he said that the character of I'm not going to remember his name, but John Candy's character of the turkey,
I do have that name written down.
Oh, you do. Go on. Does it begin with R?
It does. Red Feather.
Red feather. And he basically just said once you take his kind of voice away,
Hmm.
he can't mime. He's got no hands. He's got nothing of that. You're just left with a
A
character.
turkey.
Yeah. Now, actually, we fast forward 20 odd years and you've got Hey
Hey, hey.
Hey,
I know.
which doesn't have to, but Disney weren't creating those characters at this time.
Yeah.
So then we're on June 1992. So we haven't got very far. But during that time, we've gone from an Aladdin-esque film about two people falling in love into a very solemn adult romance film.
Hmm.
To get things right, they took a trip to Jamestown settlement and they worked with Shirley Little Dove Custo McGowan, who was a real Powhatan descendant, and she served as a consultant on the film. Now, I know you've got more facts about this, so
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I won't steal any more of those, but she has gone on record multiple times saying that she has feelings of shame with the lack of accuracy in this film, and she wishes her name was not on it.
That's exactly what I wrote down.
But there's more people like that. I thought
I
you
know.
had
Yeah,
so.
I could. Yeah, no, I got the same thing as well. Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
no, no,
Sorry.
no, no. As in, it's so weird that
It,
we wrote such similar
yeah.
things. Yeah.
I mean, that one for me was because at this point is when it turned from being the comedy into the serious thing, and she's worried that the accuracy wasn't right in the new direction, so the finished film. It's like, how well was the accuracy before when it was like a comedy? Like,
Mm.
yeah, I think we lost out on a really good film personally. Um, in the same month that that trip happened, and I know you've got a lot more on this as well, but Katzenberg declared that Pocahontas was going to be the hit.
Yeah.
So, with The Lion King being experimental, and we touched on that on The Lion King one with Jess, and it's at this point that most of the animators moved from The Lion King to Pocahontas, believing it was going to be the more esteemed production.
Yeah. From what I remember rightly, from watching the makings of both films, they were told that they were split into there was an A team and a B team.
Yep.
And the A team was Pocahontas. They gave them a rough idea of what the film was. And the B team was told, right, we're going to do this King Jungle film, Jungle King film.
Yeah.
Um,
Not set in the
and
jungle.
it was all going to be talking animals. So all the big time animators, the ones that had the most experience, they kind of went over to Pocahontas. And it
Mhm.
was the up and coming animators, the ones that hadn't really had a chance to do lead animation, had gotten that opportunity on The Lion King.
We missed out on a really good film. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Just everything that we've seen on here is we could have had something very similar to because I actually class Aladdin and The Lion King in the same kind of vein. It's very comedy. There's some dark moments in it, but it's very comedy. You then have Beauty and the Beast that has a line of comedy running quite deeply in there, but
mm-hmm.
it is a lovely story. Same with The Little Mermaid.
See, think the comedy
Recipe.
gets, I don't think the comedy is that much in Aladdin and Lion King. It's just enough, but not enough where people remember those films as comedies. Like
See,
it's just we just get bits throughout,
yeah,
to balance the mood,
yep.
so that kids don't get too bored with the romance in Aladdin. And kids don't get too bored with the seriousness of, oh my God, this king has been killed by his brother and the son has been accused and having to run away. So he
And the
doesn't
very
get
next scene is Hakuna Matata.
exactly.
It's
It's
like,
there to lift,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I've always found Pocahontas to be a bit of a dull film, and I think some of that is because of the characters, the comedic characters. Because although I do actually really like the relationship between Percy and Miko,
Mm-hmm.
if there was more vocal, I think they would be. Because looking at the past examples of the last few films where you can have a bit of the comedy, Sebastian is
Mm-hmm.
a comedic character. Skull, comedic. You've got Cogsworth and Lumiere and Chip, comedic.
Mm-hmm.
You've got um in Aladdin, you've got the genie, who's got the voice, Iago, or however
Yeah.
you pronounce it. Holly's literally sat there now going, "It's not pronounced like that," but it is Iago. And then you got the Lion King. I know it was being worked on at this point, but you've got Timon and Pumbaa,
Mm-hmm.
and to an extent Rafiki. I would probably say that only Abu out of all of those films is the only one nearest, but he still does have vocals. Whereas with these characters, I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, yeah.
Oh
Anyway,
dear, Stephen. I feel like we're getting your review already.
you'll get it all the way through this. So yeah, that's kind of the kind of production of it all. I know that my other issues with this film as well, and I don't know if you've got this when you come to the inaccuracies, but the fact that it was like, oh yeah, we're going to base it with very very Native American. We want to get those right, and then what they do is they go over to Mexico and they pick all of the colors from Mexican heritage for
Mm,
the background,
mm,
and it's like, but surely you can't honor one nationality by basing it on a completely different one.
mm.
So yeah, no, I feel very strongly. I have some strong
You do.
opinions. I'll let
Oh,
you I'll let you get on to the next bit before I get on my soapbox and there's the national anthem's playing behind me and I'm sued
um,
by Disney.
right. Cast. Get right into it. Title character, Pocahontas.
Hmm.
Um, so like Jasmine and which we'll see in Hunchback, she has a speaking voice and a singing voice. Um, so her
Jasmine
speaking
in Hunchback.
what?
We'll see Jasmine in Hunchback.
No, it says we've seen in Jasmine, and then we'll
Oh,
see in Hunchback.
oh, I was like, I don't think you do.
Oh. Yeah, so her speaking voice is Irene Bedard, who is a Native American
Mhm.
or an Indian, however they prefer, because everyone's different.
Very, very
Which
pretty. Very
I've written,
pretty.
yes, she is. She's beautiful.
Yes.
I watched her special earlier today that she
The
done.
little making of that were on
Yes.
the DVD. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So she was in Into the West. She was in American Primeval, which is currently on Netflix, and she's also in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the
Mm.
film, the live action, the one that they've
Oh,
just done. Yeah. Judy Kun or Kuhn is her singing voice,
mhm.
and she is in Enchanted.
Yes.
Yeah. Tick Tick Boom
Okay.
and Mulan Dos.
Oh, bless her. Well, do you know what? Sometimes it's just one of those months where you just need to pay the bills.
um, I'll also point out as well that Irene Bedard does return to do the voice in Pocahontas 2 and in Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
About, did I have any? Yeah. So Irene Bedard, so she was nominated for a Golden Globe for her role in Lakota Woman, Siege at Wounded Knee, which was a film that came out in 1994. This happened while she was working on Pocahontas. And as congratulations, the animators drew a special picture of her for her of Pocahontas surrounded by sunflowers, because that was her
Oh,
favorite flower. John Smith,
yes. Oh, Mr. Naughty.
um, voiced by Mel Gibson.
Mhm.
And for those who don't know, because obviously he hasn't done anything major lately.
Daddy, Daddy's home too.
Well, I was going to say you like Daddy's Home too.
I do. That is such
So,
a brilliant. Do you know what? Anyone out there who's thinking, do you know what? I'll put on Pocahontas tonight. No, don't do that. Go and watch. It's a Christmas film, so prepare yourself. Don't watch it while it's warm out, but watch Daddy's Home too, and then come back and put on Threads or anywhere and just go, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for that recommendation. You've changed my life.
okay. To be
Carry on.
honest, when we watched it after your suggestion, we were,
Did
yeah, it
it
was
change?
good.
Yeah, there we
It
go.
was good.
One of my
Um,
favorite Christmas films.
yes, Mel Gibson, known for Lethal Weapon, all four films, Mad Max, the originals,
Hmm.
and Braveheart. And I've
So,
mentioned that because there's another fact to do with that film and this film. Because obviously the voice actors, they don't see each other when they're
hmm,
recording, because they don't do their lines together, even if they're in the scene together, their
hmm,
recordings are done on their own. So none of these actors met each other, um, which is not unusual. And normally what happens is they'll meet each other at the premiere. But Mel
yeah.
Gibson wasn't able to attend the premiere because he was attending the premiere in Europe for Braveheart. And
Oh,
apparently, till
okay.
this day, he's never met any of the fellow
Oh,
voice actors in the film. So that was
mm.
a fact. Was there anything else that I had to say about him? No, except he does do his own singing, and it is his first time singing.
He also
Recording.
sings in Daddy's Home too, just in case people want to know.
Okay. Well, this is the first time we ever heard his singing voice.
I know, but the song in um, Daddy's Home too is so much better.
Governor Ratcliffe.
I have a fact about him too.
Okay.
That's my
Was this your
fact.
one character fact?
This is my one character fact. Yeah, this is my yeah, little I'm part
So
of things.
he is voiced by David Ogden Stiers, who is Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast, and Jumba in Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, yeah, it is
Yeah,
Jumbo. I was like, who else is
yeah.
he though? He's someone
Um,
else.
he also does the voice of Wiggins in this.
Oh
So
no,
Wiggins,
no.
his manservant in the film, he does his voice as well.
I do know that he, and I'm sure it was him, so well, there's no reason to apologize, but I think he's a gay actor.
I don't know.
I have to fly the flag when I can, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Yes, I'm sure he is.
Yes, but yeah, so he's Governor Ratcliffe and Wiggins.
Hmm.
So he plays both. So do you want to share your fact?
So there's multiple people considered for the role.
Okay.
And two of those people, one was Stephen Fry,
Yes.
which again, again he's gay, but also I would have been there for that. Like Stephen Fry can. I don't know, fold a piece of paper and I'd give him a round of applause. But can you guess who the other person was?
Oh, did he fly a particular starship?
Oh, he did. Do you know who I may be on about?
Is he a sir by any
He
chance?
is a sir, yes.
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 Does he have a
Um,
Scottish surname?
he does. He does.
Oh, I'm
He
getting
has,
close.
yes. You should check. You should check if there's any relation there.
I know it is the same spelling as well as my maiden
Yeah.
name.
Um, for those of you who do not know, I'm on about. I feel like I've replaced the Sterling Holloway
Yeah,
ongoing. It's like, oh, Sterling Holloway's unfortunately passed away. So now Patrick Stewart.
I know.
So I
But
think,
in the opposite sense, because obviously Sterling Holloway did various, like numerous
yeah,
roles for Disney, but Patrick Stewart wasn't allowed to do so many
yes.
roles
And
because of that Star Trek.
I think we spoke about it in, I think it was Beauty and the Beast actually, or was it Little Mermaid? Either way, he was either considered or auditioned for a role in every single Disney film up till Chicken Little. So I am making it my mission to find out what we could have had. On that note, I think Patrick Stewart would have been absolutely brilliant for this role.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's kind of got that deep voice that can be evil,
Uh huh.
but Ratcliffe is, although he is evil, he's not, we've just come from the era of Scar
Uh
and
huh.
Jafar.
Yeah.
He's not that kind of evil. And
It's
he's
greedy
also,
evil. That's what it is. It's
yeah.
greed.
And obviously, as we move on to Hunchback of Notre Dame, it's
Oh,
not that kind of evil either.
no. No, no, no.
So I reckon he could have done this really well. I've got nothing against David who did it, but because he did a good job, like, yeah, I
Yeah.
completely believe that. But in an alternative universe, there is a version of this film. Well, there's a version of every film, but it's just Patrick Stewart voicing every character. He's Belle, he's the singing voice for Jasmine, he's just everyone. It's just Patrick Stewart stars in the Disney Renaissance.
Yeah, I know. Bless
So,
Sam.
anyway, moving on.
Well, I have another fact about the character Ratcliffe.
hmm
So he is based on a real man,
hmm
though that real person wasn't a baddie.
No.
Um, and the real person did he didn't return to England.
Am I
So
right in saying that his surname is similar to mine?
no,
It's not Watson.
no.
Okay.
So John Ratcliffe, whose real name was John Sycamore,
Okay.
became the second president of Jamestown before he was killed in a Powhatan ambush in 1609. The name Percy, so the dog,
Mm.
could be a reference to George Percy, who was one of the original colonists that landed with Smith, John Smith, in 1607. And he kept a journal of his experiences and was briefly president of Jamestown until his illness forced duties to fall on John Radcliffe.
Oh.
So, yeah. So they combined, well, they created the villain out of
Yeah.
this
I think
character.
I think the villain as well is because John Smith, shout at me if I'm stealing your facts, but John Smith and Pocahontas never met.
No, they did.
Did they?
Yes, they just weren't lovers. They
Oh,
weren't
okay,
lovers.
that's
But yeah,
because but the captain of his ship. But no, am I just making up facts?
that's okay. I've got the real story waiting.
Oh, I'll just leave it with you.
Okay.
Anyway, do you know what? If it's not Patrick Stewart, I'm not bothered, if I'm honest. I mean, got 3 facts left. Carry on.
I've actually missed a fact about John Smith, you bringing him up. Sean Bean
Okay.
was considered, but Disney wanted someone American audiences would know. And I
To
mean,
be fair, if it was Sean Bean, he'd probably have died in the first 10 minutes of that film. If there's one thing that's guaranteed is that he's not going to be in the last scene
I don't
of
know, I know.
anything he's in.
Yeah, which is such a shame because obviously John Smith is, he's English.
Yeah.
But
I mean, because there wouldn't
so
have been
yeah,
any
that's a
famous
shame
English.
because
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, won't get into that. Back to Ratcliffe.
Yes.
So you didn't get this one, did you? And I'm really surprised. So
I knew that you were doing the cast ones,
Ri-
and so
Richard
I left it
White.
to you. Yes, I did know this.
Yeah, Richard White
Yes.
Gaston
What was
was
considered.
originally going to voice Governor Ratcliffe, but filmmakers felt the audience would hear White's distinctive voice and think of him as
No
Gaston.
one does Redcliffe like Gaston. Um,
So yeah, I think they made the right decision there.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
will
but
say
then
with
to
this
give the
film
guy
is
credit, he may have changed his voice. He might have been able to,
ah,
but we'll never know. So the chief, so
mhm.
Pocahontas' dad,
I might
his
make up facts about him as well.
his speaking voice is Russell Means, and he was also in The Last of the Mohicans. But outside of acting, he was the first national director of the American Indian movement. He's championed the rights of Indigenous peoples in other
Hmm.
countries as well as the United States. And he prefers the label Indian as he believes that everyone who was born in America is a Native American. Like I mentioned earlier, depending
Yeah.
on where the tribe is originated or how they've grown up, they might refer themselves as Native Americans, they might refer themselves as Indians. Again, there's further, like they've got names further north. So in like Alaska and Canada, they
Yeah.
have other terms as well. So
One thing I will say that I think this film did get right was the bloke who played the dad. Am I right in saying that he's kind of like, because he is a Native American
yeah,
and he is, or an American Indian, or
yes,
he's very, he's on that DVD extra and he goes into
he
detail
is.
where he was also a consultant with things like, oh, well, this is the hand movements that we would use, or this is the cloth, or like that
Yeah,
kind of thing. So,
yeah. He also says how he helped them with the dialogue
yes, yeah,
and how they would say things. So like they would say like my father, my daughter, my son. They wouldn't call them by their names.
yeah.
Just things like that. And yeah, Jim Cummings does his singing voice.
Oh, okay.
Even though he doesn't really sing as such, it is more speaking, but I think it's in the he's got a bit when he's come back and Pocahontas greets him. He's got a bit there when he gives the necklace to her, and then he's got a bit in the Savages song. So
Who's the
yes.
little bird? What's the bird called?
Flick,
Flick.
flit, flick,
Flit.
flit.
That's also Jim Cummins.
Oh, okay.
Or was that Frank Welker?
I don't know. I didn't write it down.
Oh,
Sorry,
see,
Flick.
neither of us have the facts.
But
At
I know.
least I'm making them up as I go along.
Grandmother Willow
Hmm.
is voiced by Linda Hunt,
Yes.
an Oscar winner. Um, and yeah, so people know her from Kindergarten Cop. She's the head teacher.
Mhm.
And yes, so The Year of Living Dangerously is where she got her Oscar, and she was for a sporting role, and she was in that with Mel Gibson.
Mm. So they
Yes.
have met.
Yeah, they've worked together. Yes.
Yeah.
In the first draft of the script, Grandmother Willow was written as a male character
Hmm.
who was the spirit of the river. So he was going to be like, so it was an old man river.
Yeah.
Um, the song Just Around the River Bend was written for this character
Mhm.
to sing, and Gregory Peck was offered the role. And as much as it pained him to do it, he turned it down because he felt the title character needed a motherly figure to turn for advice. So the filmmakers, took this side note and yeah, and then created the
Which, yeah,
grandmother Willow character.
yeah. And the reason why she's a willow rather than the river is because they felt that it would mimic Mufasa in the clouds too much.
No,
But
I love
yeah,
her as the tree and the whole setting of the seat, the tree, the covering her, almost like hugging, and the way that they got
yeah,
the face
yeah,
made
that,
to to look as if it should be there. Very well done.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say that I liked.
Oh, of course you can't. Well, I love her.
Wow,
She's like
okay.
one of the best characters in this film, personally. I love the grandmother Willow character. She's like Moana's grandmother reminds me of her.
Mm. Yeah,
Very
yeah, I
similar.
get. I actually find those two characters more similar than any other, because obviously, oh, Moana's a water princess kind of thing, and it's like, oh, she should be Ariel, but I find her more like Pocahontas than Ariel or any of the other
Mm,
princesses.
yeah.
So yeah, that makes a bit sense as well.
Thomas, who's the young recruit,
Yes.
first mission, and we see at the beginning of the film him leaving his family, his mum and dad,
Mm,
and his
mm.
little sister behind, or brother, I can't remember. And he is voiced by a very young Christian Bale.
Yes, yes, he is.
And this was Christian Bale's like first adult role, serious role, yeah. Yeah, and apparently he spoke about how animators sketched him when he was doing his
Yeah,
voice work.
I see that.
Um, yeah, and got his movements. So, yes. It's funny because I remember, like, sure, it was only, I know when it was. It was when I got the Blu ray of
Mm.
Pocahontas back when we worked at the Disney store.
Oh, hang on.
And,
That would have been 21st of May,
oh,
2012.
yeah.
I've got that one.
And I could not believe it was then that I discovered that Christian Bale was his voice.
Well, just
And
to
it was at the
plug,
end credits, and I saw his name come up, and I was like, "What?" And obviously, like Batman I think the Dark Knight had come out
yeah,
by
that
this
wasn't
point,
too, yeah.
and yeah, and when I went on IMDb, I was like, "Oh my god, how am I only just discovering this?"
Well, just to plug a certain book, but Pocahontas is featured in my Creating the Magic book that I did, and all those details you've just said are in there.
Oh
Available
yeah.
available now on Amazon.co.uk. Ting.
Well, it's our own podcast, Stevens. So we can do what we want.
Oh, well, that's fine then. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think go buy the book.
Yeah. Go bye. Bye
Go
now.
buy it.
Ben. And the only reason I've mentioned this character is A, because my
It's your
husband's
husband's
name is
name. Yeah.
Ben. And B, he's voiced by Billy Connolly. Random character. And he was supposed to have an English accent. But Sir Billy Connolly
Mm.
hurt his throat trying to do an English accent.
To be honest, no,
So they just said to him, oh, just speak in your normal voice.
you do not hire Billy Connolly
I
to do an
know,
English accent. I'm sorry,
I
you
know, I
just
know. I mean,
don't.
but the character alone. is like so
2 lines.
pointless.
Yeah.
Just not
But,
needed. Okay, right. Music.
hmm
Our song list. We have the opening song, the Virginia Company. Not the
Yeah.
best song, to be
No.
honest. I get that they needed an opening number, but
Yeah.
when you've just had the opening number on The Lion King, and then you
Yes.
watch this and this opening number, oh, this very disappointing, especially when we know like the writers of the song. The opening number is really so boring. It doesn't grip you at all.
But
And
the
it's a
thing is,
shame because the opening number needs to be,
sell the
yeah, it
film.
needs to,
Yeah.
okay, unfortunately, they did have to follow the Lion King opening. And we've said, on that podcast, like there really isn't another opening number, anything like
Mm.
it. It just hasn't been beaten. There's been good opening numbers, and there has been other ones that have been memorable.
Do you know what the opening of Chicken Little?
What?
Yeah.
Right,
I would
mental
say
note. We'll have to come back to this comment when we get
I
to Chicken
will
Little.
I will say that the opening few seconds of Chicken Little are probably on par with the opening few seconds of The Lion King.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll have this discussion when we get to Chicken Little.
Yeah.
I know the listeners are going to be thinking, what the fuck is he on about?
The listeners are going to be like, has Jamie not watched Chicken Little?
No, no, no. I
Yeah.
have, and I don't remember. You watch, we'll come to it, and I'll be like, oh my God, Stephen, that opening.
Yeah. You'll know. You'll know. You will know. You're going to sit and
Okay,
watch it later. You're going to put it on quickly. You're like,
I
what is
am going
it?
to put it on.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I can't remember it being that.
Oh,
Barely remember
honestly,
Chicken Little, to be fair.
it is on par with
No,
The Lion King.
no, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Don't believe you. Right, the next one. Steady as the beating drum.
Oh,
I
she's
really
singing.
like this one actually, and I love like the hey hey
Oh
hey
no.
hey. Like I love
Oh no.
that. I wish this was the opening song.
I
Like,
do find it odd that the opening song, because traditionally in musical theatre, the opening song should set the scene.
mhm.
The opening song for Pocahontas it is on the boat, isn't it? I'm not
No,
misremembering that.
it's in Southampton.
Yeah, that's what
So
I'm.
it's
Sorry,
like
yeah.
we don't even see that place anymore.
So we're not even in. Really, it should have been gold, gold, gold.
What, the Mine song?
Yes, because it shows the area and it's kind of as a film you're kind of watching it. It's called Pocahontas. You go into it and the first thing that happens is you've got these people from a different place digging up for gold. I think that sets the scene perfectly.
I
I get
guess
what you're
it's
saying with this song though. I do
yeah,
because it
yeah. I
should
think the
set the
Virginia
scene.
Company, they were maybe trying to sort of recreate the opening of Little Mermaid. That again, it's men or out on the boat on an adventure.
Yeah,
But the
but that's
difference
not.
is that the boat is on the setting of the film.
Yeah,
Whereas with this one, the opening is not the setting of the film.
no.
That's where they've made the mistake.
And there's a storyline part of because you could say, oh, they're coming from Southampton is a storyline of, how they get there. But when you compare it to The Little Mermaid, it's like she sees Eric for the first time, she sees the statue, and she
Oh no,
saves
that's
his life.
later. That's
Is
not
that
in the opening
later?
yet. Yeah.
Do you know what?
It,
I need to watch a Disney
oh
film.
God, Stephen. Anyway, we're rambling. We're rambling.
Yes.
Um, right. So yeah, after steady as the beating drum, we
She's
have
singing again.
just around the river bend.
Now you see, that was quite good. Well done.
Oh,
That
thank you.
was, yeah, I appreciate that song. I really like that song.
I
That
love this
is,
song.
yeah, I have nothing bad to say about this, and it's done well, very well, and it's the when she's in the canoe and the water's kind of taking her, and the
Oh, yeah.
music's building up, and it's done brilliantly. That could have
Like,
been an
I am
opening
glued.
song.
Yeah, I am glued to that whole
Yes,
sequence. She is so beautiful in this sequence, and oh yeah, and I
it
love the song.
works.
It depends. It's weird because every time I watch it, I chop and change my mind which song I like the best. Like what, today, it was just around the river bend, but then it's like, oh no, I like Colors of the Wind. No, a river bend, and yeah. And then after that, we've got Grandmother Willow's song, which obviously we hear throughout, and it's Listen with Your Heart. Listen with your heart, you will understand.
And that's enough of that.
And then, yes, after that, we have Mine, Mine, Mine.
Which should be at the beginning.
Yeah. Which is actually a really good song.
I remember do you remember at the Disney store when they did a month for a princess?
Yes.
So when Pocahontas came up, I remember thinking, well, just around the river bend and Colours of the Wind, they're quite slow songs.
Yeah.
You know, compared to Beauty and the Beast
Mm-hmm.
and Aladdin and like the slow songs. And then I remember this coming on and being like, I do not remember this in the film whatsoever. And yeah, I remember when each time it came on, and I was like, yeah, this is
Mm.
a good song. This is
Yeah.
good. It's not the best, but it's good.
Yeah.
It deserves a place.
And then we've got Colors of the Wind, which again, I love the sequence to this. Absolutely glued. I mean, one of my all-time favorite stills of her is in this song, and
Mm.
it's when the wind colors form into her and you see the hair blowing and the oh yeah, she's just beautiful. I love the colors like the turquoise and the pink. And then
I
we've got
will.
Savages, Savages, barely even human.
Oh no.
I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to say to Ben, oh, stick on Savages, but see, while watching the film, it is good.
Yeah. Do you know
And the
what? When
whole
I
marching and them getting ready to go to battle. I mean, in the
I think
setup and you fat, and then obviously in between them, she comes in and sings as she's running, and it's like, oh, is she gonna get there in time? And then the cut song we have, which actually is before Savages on the list on the soundtrack, it's at the end, and it is If I Never Knew You, which you
oh,
hear throughout the film.
but it's just not.
But I've got a fact about that.
Oh.
And then, yes, end credit songs, we have Colors of the Wind, sung by Vanessa Williams, who people will know from
Oh,
Desperate Housewives,
yep.
Ugly
Ugly
Betty,
Betty.
and currently now on the West End in the Devil Wears Prada musical.
Yes. She's also best friends with RuPaul, so she pops up in
Oh,
RuPaul's
okay.
Drag Race like throughout.
Yeah.
I actually prefer her version,
Oh, do you?
but
See,
do you know
I
what? It's
don't.
because it's got that 90s.
Yeah, it does. With a
So
keyboard. It's got the
yeah,
keyboard sound. Yeah.
yeah. So I do prefer that.
And then the cut song was put on the end credits, and If I Never Knew You. And that is sung by John Cicada and Shanice. John Cicada is a Cuban American singer who was very successful at the time. He'd written songs for Ricky Martin, Gloria Estefan, and Jennifer Lopez. And it was
Mm.
Gloria Estefan's husband that discovered him.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And the female, Shanice, who we know as I Love Your Smile. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.
Which
Her.
is very of its time.
Oh
Like
yeah, like
that.
early 90s R&B.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Music facts.
Hmm.
So the song If I Never Knew You. That was cut. Funny because it was due to a test screening.
Um,
And I thought to myself, But by this point,
where
Katzenberg has gone, so it's not him. He's not responsible. Can't blame him this time. After children in test audiences found it boring, and ironically, the adults in the test audiences found it depressing. So at the time, it was fully animated, but without color. So it hadn't
okay.
gotten to the color part, and yeah, it was cut. But for the 10th anniversary DVD release,
Oh, I
it
heard things were put back in.
yes, the color was finished and it was inserted so that for those, obviously like yourself, who can't picture where the song is and where it was cut from, when John Smith is arrested after Cocoam's death and he's kept tied up because they're gonna kill him the next day, Pocahontas' friend lets her in the tent and
Beware, missus.
they have this song. So like she claim because she says to him how, "Oh, I wish if only we hadn't met, you wouldn't be in this position," sort of thing. And he says, "I would rather die tomorrow having known you than live 100 years without ever knowing you." And that sets
God,
up the song.
that's just soppy.
And like, oh my God, it's very romantic. I remember
I'd have,
like seeing it in the scene and going, "Oh, I don't remember this," and
I'm
loving it.
glad I never saw it.
But Disney Plus, now whoever's in charge of Disney Plus, right? What the
Yeah,
fuck? Have put the original release without the song. So, and they don't even have the option.
I was going to say it'd be good with the option, like
Yeah.
they've done with The Lion King
And
and
Muppets
Beauty and the
Christmas
Beast
Carol.
and Muppets Christmas Carol.
And those who've forgotten about that, dig out that DVD that you've got collecting dust, or it's up
Only
in
the
the loft.
2000, only the 2006 one though,
Yeah, I know.
not the
No, it's on the
2001.
Blu-ray as well.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yeah, it's on
okay.
the Blu-ray
Oh,
as well.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, because I can dig that out if I really want to see that song.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, Colors of the Wind was the first song written for this film and helped define the tone and direction of the movie.
So,
Despite this song featuring the word mountain in its verses, the real Pocahontas never saw any mountains in her lifetime. Although she was born in what is now known as Virginia, she wouldn't have seen mountains like Colorado. If she had traveled, she may have seen the Appalachian Mountains, but they don't believe she did. So,
just at the beginning of that, you said it was the first song worked on. It was one of the first things developed for the film entirely.
oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
apart from the
Oh, and I
story,
forgot to mention the writers. Sorry, people. I've gone on and I've not even mentioned their names. Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz. We know Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz. They worked together on Enchanted, and Stephen Schwartz wrote Wicked.
with Vanessa Williams'
Yeah,
version,
no.
she sung that.
Um,
Well, she sung Colours of the Wind, and she did that. It was the biggest premiere
yeah.
in movie history up until that point, with the most amount of people in attendance. It was the biggest concert, like, because she went out. Was it in New York and she just performed it?
It was. I watched actually a clip about that today.
Mm.
Yeah. It was in Central Park.
Yeah, I was going to say Central Park, and I thought, no, I've
Yeah.
already cocked up enough facts
Yeah,
on
there's
this
a lawn.
podcast.
There's a lawn that's big enough, and 100,000 people
Mhm.
attended. Apparently, it cost a couple of million. So it was
Yeah,
1 million to hire out the lawn for the week because they needed to obviously prep it.
prepare, yeah.
It cost $300,000 for police and clean up people.
Yeah.
They donated money as well. I can't remember what that was for. Oh, I think it was for the park. But yeah, it was like a raffle And apparently they had over like 500,000 people
Mm.
sign up, and it was a lottery system for the tickets. And yeah, and it was done like live. They had like commentators. There was special VIPs there. They sold merchandise there, and yeah, I mean, oh my god, that must have been amazing,
Yeah. What a shame it
amazing.
was for this film.
And yeah, there's been not another premiere like it.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, just around the river bend was nearly scrapped. As higher ups didn't think it would have the impact they wanted. Stephen Schwartz wrote a second I Want song to fill the slot, but in the end, everyone preferred just around the river bend. Howard Ashman was going to write lyrics for the songs um, as soon as he finished working on Aladdin. So
Oh,
that was,
don't.
but obviously that didn't happen.
This film
Um,
is so much what could have been.
yeah, don't get me wrong. No, I mean with Stephen Schwartz and Alan Menken, they've proven that they work
Oh,
well
yeah,
together.
no,
But
that's it.
yes, with Howard Ashman's history of helping with the story,
Yeah.
that's where he possibly, who knows? So it doesn't have a showstopper song, which could also be another reason why it just doesn't hit well, like the
Mm.
same.
Yeah.
So like Be Our Guest or Friend Like Me, it's not got anything like that. Um,
Which
apparently
it
it
would do
proved
if it had talking animal companions. Just saying.
um apparently it was because they struggled to fit a showstopper within the story because it was such a dramatic content.
Dull. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not dull.
Stephen Schwartz and Alan Menken penned several songs. One which was a leading contender was a song called In the Middle of the River. And you can actually hear that on Disney Plus as a little extra clip.
Oh, they've put that on, have they?
They have, yes.
Oh,
And no, it's not great.
no.
So yeah, thank God that was dropped because no, it's not, and it's not a showstopper.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not even close. So it's very similar to Riverbend.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Steady as the Beating Drum was originally much faster and more upbeat, and it was called the Dancing to the Wedding Drum, where Pocahontas would be attempting to speak to her father privately, but gets interrupted by a surprise wedding celebration. And Cocoam had a singing part in this, but they changed it. And
Good.
again, you can hear that sample
Oh, on Disney Plus.
on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they've got that on. They haven't got the making of, but they've got
No,
that.
in his villain song "Mine, Mine, Mine," Ratcliffe mentions the Spanish conquistador Hernan Cortes. Cortes would later be portrayed as the villain in DreamWorks' El Dorado.
Oh, I do like that film.
Oh wow, you will need to listen to
Yeah.
me and Holly's Katzenberg episodes because Holly could not get through that film. And well, I'm
And
not going to
that's
spoil
why
it
she's
for you.
not invited back.
Yes, and that film is also about Europeans encountering Native Americans during the Age of Exploration. So obviously, Katzenberg knew that they were making Pocahontas, and he must have thought, do you know what? We need a similar story. All makes sense now. And yes, that is all the music facts.
Just to tie on with the release that I mentioned about the Vanessa Williams song,
Uh-huh.
Pocahontas beat the Lion King's record for the highest grossing opening weekend, where it's only in theatre under 50 screens. So it opened on 6 screens
Uh-huh.
and it beat the record for the Lion King. And that record has never been beaten.
Oh,
So at that point, it could have been classed a hit. And actually, it goes on where Michael Eisner, although it was asked, well, it's not a hit, he actually said, well, one, it's beat Beauty and the Beast
Mm-hmm.
in amount of money grossed,
Uh-huh.
and the merchandise is just flying off the shelves. We've made more money on that than we have done. And then he quoted a few other films.
Yeah.
He didn't compare it at all to The Lion King, though.
No.
So funny that.
Mm.
But yeah, that's, my two pennies worth.
So, animators working on this movie regarded it as being one of the hardest ever produced by the studio. Because of the complex color schemes, angular shapes, and facial expressions meant that this movie was in production for 5 years. 55 animators were involved in designing the character of Pocahontas.
And that's what they came up with.
Oh, she's beautiful, Stephen.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Oh, God. I was like, phew. Russell Means, the voice of the
Hmm.
chief. So, yeah, um, every word and phrase the poet and characters use is something from their long lost language. However, the pronunciation and grammar is mostly guessed. So, just to lead into it, right? So, you mentioned earlier that this was going to be, said how the A team was on this and the B team was on Lion King. So, they believed that this was going to be their big hit
Aw.
and that it was going to be more successful than Beauty and the Beast. That was
To be fair, it made more money, so
well, yes, as you've just pointed out. Um, but they wanted another Best Picture nomination again.
yeah, that's what
Um,
Katzenberg.
but because they dealt with more adult themes and tones, it didn't appeal to kids. And they chose to create a story based on a real person that wasn't historically accurate. But yeah, so the what's wrong with it is that instead of make believe characters like in their previous films, they chose to use real people. So the story goes Pocahontas had not yet reached her teens when John Smith, who was in his early 30s at the time, arrived in what was called
Yeah,
Jamestown.
she was 12.
She was 12. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They say 11, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pocahontas, a chief's daughter, spared the settler from death at the hands of her angry tribe and taught him about Powhatan Indian culture. He, in turn, schooled her in English. They weren't an item, they
No.
weren't lovers. I've got a horrible feeling that I don't think they did the research at the time they committed to doing the film.
Oh no. Well, it was
I think they
pitched
were too
and
deep into it when they
yeah,
discovered truths along
yeah,
the way. And so, yeah, so they increased her age and decreased his age so that they are both roundabout, like she's supposed to be around about 20 and he's more like mid 20s.
yeah.
The life of the real Pocahontas was not how it's portrayed in this cartoon, and it's almost glamorized because
Oh yeah.
of how she's drawn and how she's treated by her tribe and the love, obviously, that happens between her and John Smith. So she was born in 1595 near Jamestown. According to a 1612 account written by William Strachey, the British First Secretary of the Virginia colony. She married a chief from her tribe when she was around 14. In 1613, when fighting broke out between the Powhatan tribe and white settlers, Pocahontas was lured aboard an English ship and temporarily held captive. During that time, she converted to Christianity and fell in love with the Englishman John Rolfe. In 1614, they married, and 2 years later, Rolfe sailed with her to England. There she met King James I, and the British acclaimed her as an American princess. But before she could return to America, she fell ill with smallpox and died at age 21. So this is the issue.
It's not quite a Disney film, is it?
No, it's not, is it?
No.
Reading this and obviously knowing it does taint the film for me. I have very, very happy memories of when this film came out because at the time, 1995, I was peak kiddie age, like girly
Yeah.
age, because obviously my birthday was June. So yeah, I would have turned 9.
Yeah.
I remember the TV spots. I remember instantly thinking she was the most beautiful character I'd ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
Loving the colors. I was so excited for this film. I had all the dolls. We had the pajamas, the bedding, the Burger King cup for this as well.
Yes. I had the magnets. I don't know why. I had a set of magnets and they were like square, but they had the characters kind of breaking through the square.
Oh, okay.
I had those. I think I've still got them somewhere.
Oh, in your mum's
I,
attic.
no, no, I think I've got them here.
Oh, watching the film today for the podcast, I do like the story.
Mm.
It's just such a shame that it's ruined by the fact that they chose to use real people and tell a lie. And yeah, and I do completely understand the controversy and the problem with the film. If you take away the fact that it's real people, I love the story.
I mean, are we at the point where we're giving our opinions?
Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I've never liked it.
Why am I not surprised?
I, as a child, I remember getting the video, like, because I got the Disney videos for Christmas and
Mm,
birthdays, and it
yeah.
was, I put it on. I don't remember watching it. I remember my great grandma coming round in a case of, oh, I haven't seen it, let's put it on. And we ended up we were just dancing, but not to that. That was on in the background.
Right, okay.
We had music on as well. And then tried to watch it like as a family film on a Sunday and didn't like it. It's just when I watched it as an adult, I got it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to watch it more and I was more invested than I ever was as a kid.
Hmm.
I just find it boring. The whole thing,
Mm,
it's just boring.
no, see, I'm
So,
not bored with that. But I can also see why it would be boring to other people because it really is, it does stand out compared to what we've just watched,
yes.
you know? And
But even in saying that, when you've got like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, although it's darker, a lot darker,
mm,
that film isn't boring. Still not great.
oh, oh God, I'm dreading to find out what your score is then.
I've put a 2.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
not my worst.
No.
And the reason why I've put the 2 is because I do think that the work done on Miko and Percy was some very good interaction.
Okay.
And it was funny in parts, but it wasn't great. And the songs, the 2 songs, the 2 main ones, Colors of the Wind and
Hmm.
Just Beyond the River Bend, which I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it as a 1 because of those.
Mm.
But to be honest with you, I did think it was nice to look at, but because I can't see the colors properly,
Oh,
I I can't even tell you if it was nice to look at or whether
Uh,
they it was good to see or whatever. So yeah, for me it was just a two, and it's such a disappointment because this is kind of the beginning of the end for the Renaissance for me.
oh God, so soon. We're only halfway.
I know, but
So you basically just like the first half.
yeah, I'm very much up to The Lion King, even with Rescuers Down Under, which I think is an okay film.
Mm-hmm.
All of the others are like top tier. Then it starts to crack a little.
Mm.
What about your score?
Well, because I don't think the soundtrack as a whole is their best. This is how committed I was today. When I was doing my notes, I put the soundtrack on in the
Did you
background.
have a did you have a little nap?
No, no, no. Like just listening to like I love the score, like the background. But Savages, Mine, Virginia Company, Steady as a Beating Drum, and even Grandmother Willow's song. Like they really are only good in the context of the film. It's not like
Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King.
it's just not the same. It's not got the same. It doesn't give me goosebumps. However, watching the film, obviously, I enjoy it throughout with the story.
Yeah,
And yeah, the two songs, like Pocahontas songs, I always have on the playlist.
two songs I do, but the
Yeah,
Vanessa
they're
Williams
great.
version of Colors
And
of Light.
obviously the real story of Pocahontas is just the complete opposite of what this film is, and not even close to what they portray it as. Yeah, I think that as well. I can only really give it a 3.5.
I mean, the half is very important there.
It is important because if this had been based on settlers, like if they had done that at the start of the film and said, given it a completely different title, renamed the characters, and put at the start based on events during the age of
Yeah,
exploration. That's all they had to put.
yeah.
Change the names and and go with it. And then it would have gotten a 4.5
Oh,
maybe.
wow. I know other people really like this film. I know that it's still part of the Renaissance and it did well, and there's a lot worse to come. It just shows that actually you executives can't make a film.
No.
Creatives make the film, and
Mm-hmm.
I've said it multiple times in this podcast. I There is a film that should have been here with of John Candy, the humor of the animators that had just been very, very successful with Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, there isn't a show-stopping musical number,
No.
but we've just employed a load of Broadway creatives who have produced Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King. Surely you would go, well, actually, we need that. That's what's making our films good. So I think they just lost their way. And then with the next film, I think it's definitely that they were on the path, and I think the path was a bit misguided.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got a few bits before we go out. So VHS released 25th of March 96,
Uh-huh.
DVD 29th of October 2001, and Blu-ray 21st of May 2012. If I'm right in saying, because that would have been about 4 months before I left the Disney store. I think that was the Princess year and when everything kind of was
Mm-hmm.
going on with then. So for us, that's when this would have come out. There's not a lot of hidden Mickeys. Basically, there's the odd bubbles, sunflowers, and whatnot that are shaped like Mickey, but there are also biscuits.
Yes.
Um, the last thing that I've got for the whole of Pocahontas, it's a quote from Tom Sito, so the head of story.
Okay.
Disney had a choice. Either we were historically accurate or socially responsible.
Okay. Well,
So,
that's a good way to end.
yeah. On that note, remember to pop over to Threads, Blue Sky, and give us a like, Instagram, give us a share, give us a subscribe, do whatever you need to do. Leave a review. We're on YouTube, and join us again next week, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, that was a good outro, Stephen.
Look at
I
me.
know.
Look at that. Copy and
Yeah,
paste that.
that was good.
What are we next week? We're Hunchback, aren't we?
Hunchback.
We have a visitor for that one.
We do.
We do have a visitor for that one.
Yeah. So stay
Um,
tuned. Watch this. Well, listen to this space.
yes, and it's goodbye from me.
Yeah. And goodbye from me.
I was supposed to say
Bye.
goodbye from him.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Bye. Oh, too late now.
Oh, yeah.